Good evening, everybody. This is the Young Trailblazers. I'm so excited to be here kama kawaida, and we do this every Wednesday. Sangapi, 3 p.m. all the way until 3:30 p.m. all the way to 4:30 p.m. And I am aware that we are live on Facebook. Watu wangu wa Facebook, big up, because the hangout just began. Now, what we're gonna do right now is that I'm gonna introduce what we've been doing here, and then I will tell us what it is that we got lined up for you in the next few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is a proper collaboration between The Move and Life Lead, and this goes out to every young person out there. So kona tucheke, kona tuskiza, this is for you. And we decided that because we don't want you to miss whether you are not on Zoom or on Zoom, we gotta have you on Facebook. And so this is it for you, and we are ready for you. Now today, we continue with our series. Tumekuwa tufanya series moja fiti sana inaitwa The Drift. And at The Move, we are doing a series, this year we are going on a road trip. And kwa hii road trip, it gets to a place where we get to go into, take a drift. Because if we continue like that, kuna vile takamku crash. So ladies and gentlemen, sit down, relax, because the drift is on. And today we are looking at, during the drift, what are some of the things, and last week we looked at roadblocks. Roadblocks. And today we're looking at some of those things that we put on so that we are able to handle the roadblocks in our lives. So manze, ka poa, ka fiti, cheki. If you're on Zoom, washa camera tuweze kubonga. If you're on Facebook, comment hapo hivyo tuweze kujua watch kutoka pande gani. But whether you're on Facebook or on Zoom, let us interact with us and let us know where you are watching us from and how we can help you. Remember, at the end of the show, we're gonna have a Q&A. So this live feed will end in just 30 minutes. Can you believe that? And why? It's because we want to get interactive on Zoom. So if you're here and you'd like to get interactive on Zoom, you'd like to have a moment with our coach and ask deep personal questions. We call it the VIP Lounge with our coach. Drop us, let us know on the comment segment. Alafu tutajua venye takulink na host na coach wetu na atakupeleka na Rieng. Tutaingia kwa group, alafu tuweze kubonga on a more personal level, on a more intimate level. Right now, I just want to share a screen here and just show you something that we are doing, or rather just show you a little something here, and I hope you're going to enjoy. So we're looking at masks. Manze, sijui kama mnakumbuka ile ngoma ya Mask Off. So what we're gonna do here is this particular guy is a guy that we know very well. His name is Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey has acted so many videos, but imefika a place in life that Jim Carrey actually is feeling depressed and is no longer happy, and maybe because of the roles he took in these movies. But why is because sometimes we have put on masks and we are really not ourselves. Now, check out this video and let's see what we can learn from this and some of the things that we can unlearn. The movie is called The Mask. Sijui kama kuna mtu aliweza kucheki The Mask.
Never cross the rope.
No, but my friends are on the inside.
Lose them.
Hey, come on now, guys. Now this here. Hey, watch it. I'm a bleeder. You put me down right now, or I am never coming back here. Ha! Oh! Thanks. Oh, jeez.
Mr. Itkiss, hi.
Hi.
Are you okay?
Me? I'm great. Really good. I just never felt better, really. I'm just catching some air out here.
Your car, sir.
That's not my car.
But it matches the ticket.
All right. I'll take it. But I am very angry. Believe this?
any idea what time it is?
Actually, no.
My new carpet! Well, this is coming right out of your security deposit, Ipkiss.
You know, Mrs. Peenman,
What?
We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking. We suppress the id, our darkest desires, and adopt a more socially acceptable image.
Well, the book is, of course, The Masks We Wear by Dr. Arthur Newman. Thank you so much for being with us today.
what's the matter with you? What is it? What are you looking for, huh? You like this thing? You like it?
The masks, Wendy. We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, right.
All right, we're gonna end there, but I really want to show you what happens now after the mask, all right? And the confidence comes up and it's totally a different person.
It's party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta!
All right. That is why we are here. That is why we are here. I hope you enjoyed my film. I acted that when I was a very young boy. All right. I hope you're enjoying. That is Jim Carrey. That is Jim Carrey. I don't know what it is that you are seeing from that, but there's a lot to see. There's a lot to learn. We can't play the whole film. Lakini manze, that I just wanted to show you how, you know, that transition happens. You know, a very miserable life, you know, everybody being kicked out from a show, everybody just picking on him, you know, guarding the Oyo and all that stuff going on. And then he lands this amazing gift from I don't know who. And he realizes that's actually a mask, puts it on, and life changes. And we cut that video at the place where he's trying to say, you know, let me go back to those things that never worked. The manager who was harsh on me, and he's gonna do some magic right there. But we will be talking about that later in a bit. Before then, let me see who's here with us. So Koko na mimi unaweza unmute, and then in my count, just say whoop whoop. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
It's good to hear you. It's good to hear you. It's good to hear you. On my screen, I have Lydia Njoki. Lydia, what you're gonna do is you're gonna just say hi to us. Umetoka una watch kutoka pande gani ya hii taifa, and then let us know whether you are in. Sawa sawa. So Lydia, take it away.
Yes. Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm Lydia. Now from Kitengela. Yes, I'm in.
All right.
Bless you.
Bless you, bless you, bless you. Let's go to, hey, now guys, wadau, huyu Sharon, huyu tunafaa tufanye jambo, eh? Sharon, but Sharon comes in early and benefits the most. I know, because Sharon is never late and Sharon leaves last. Let's go, Sharon, where are you from? And uko ndani ama uko nje?
Hello, hey everyone. It's me, Sharon here. I'm locked in from Syokimau, and I'm in.
Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. Now, there's a thing with having the video on. It really encourages me to, you know, to move on. And when I know who is watching, naweza kuendelea poa. So if you're not having a bad hairdo or a bad hair day, wash a camera. Let's see who it is. Toa a mask, because kwa screen yangu, Sharon is relaxed. Sharon, toa a mask. Wacha tuone uko aje. We would like to interact with you deeper.
But your head scarf.
Yeah, see? Kumbe hata umevaa dotted. Polka. Now, let's go to Brian Jones. Brian. Uko mtaa gani? Alafu, yeah. Brian, uko na sisi ama uko na wale? All right, as Brian prepares himself, let's go to the amazing but bad jacket Nduati. Your jacket yako siipendi.
Yeah, nimeiva on purpose.
Ako tu sa.
From Syokimau, home of the champions. Oh, by the way,
Yay.
Just to note, kuna kitu Dante ulisema hapo mbele. Ulisema nini? Unakumbuka ukishirabu?
Mimi nikashirabu.
Wacha nisiseme.
Nilisema nini?
Pasta Hula nakumbuka.
Nakumbuka lakini the word sikumbuki.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's go to Brian, uko na sisi?
Dante niko.
Manze. Brian, unajua nilikuwa nimefikiri umetufichia black.
Ni net iko na problem.
Haina noma. Bonga alafu
na hail from Utawala. Na natoa mask niko locked.
All right. Awesome. Umetoa mask, eh? Aya, our hype woman. The lady in 2 glasses.
Yes. Ndio mimi hapo. Wacha niweke naziona hivi. Yeah. Here I am. I am zooming in from Unye, Islando, Kismet. Umepata hizo? Yes. Unye. Yes. Makofi. Islando. Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited, manze. I am looking forward to mambo ya masks. Uzuri sasa hii yetu ya COVID-19 kuna vile. But it is well.
All right.
Back to you.
Awesome. It's good to hear from each one of you. We're going to have an awesome time right now because I want to invite the man of the day. Huyu, wacha natuambia kama yeye anavaga mask kama anatembeaga bilas. Unajua sahi kwanza Karawa akasikia tukiongea historia ya kuvaa mask kama kutembea bila mask, tunaweza shikwa. But we're about to bring it, live and direct and let you understand what mask we are talking about here. But in case uko outdoors, tafadhali, vaa mask. Corona ni real. Lakini let's talk about some more masks here and how we can, get courage or gain courage to overcome life road blocks. Au sio?
Nimekumbuka Dante, it was
road
block.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of God, blazers, put your hands together and make some noise. Show some love to the amazing masks of Pastor Zeph, our coach.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Reaction. Let's go.
Hey.
Yeah. Pastor Zeph.
Awesome. Thank you, Dante, and thank you everyone for coming to this hangout. Thank you for all those who are on Zoom. Joseph, I see you. You come in. Karibu sana. Those on Facebook, karibuni sana. You are welcome. Today we continue on with the series of Drift series, or rather the series of Drift series. Is that the right way to say it? the series Drifts, let me put it that way, dealing with life transitions. And so we have been looking at various things, and today I want us to continue on to look at courage to overcome life barriers, courage to overcome life roadblocks. And as masks have been mentioned, we'll be talking about it a little bit later. But what do you do when you encounter a barrier that blocks your way to your destiny? What do you do when you encounter a barrier that blocks your way to your destiny? We looked at roadblocks last time. And so today we continue on to just look at how do you overcome those barriers so that you still arrive at your destiny. And what happens when you can't get what you want? And many of us shared last week about what you want, but you haven't gotten. Maybe the grade that you want, the college that you want, the girl or guy that you want, and you're blocked, the work that you want, the money that you want, but you're blocked, the clothes that you want, or makeup that we put on to hide ourselves. What do you do when all these things are blocked in your life from your destiny? But many of us are probably asking, what is destiny? And so I would define destiny is what God intended you to be from the beginning. And we see that in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11. Also in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28 to 29. Let me begin from Genesis just to read through. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. Verse 28, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. That was what was intended from the beginning. That was the original plan. That was the destiny of human beings. But this was interrupted by sin, the choice of Adam and Eve, when they listened to the deceiver with the lies of who they are. If you can read that in Genesis chapter 3, you can see that sin, the desire to have more than what they had, led them to move away from what God destined for them. But we see a recap now from Jeremiah. These are guys, Israelites, who have been chosen, and as a result of sin again, they find themselves in exile. They had a promised land, they had been moved from the promised land, and God speaks to them through Jeremiah and tells them in chapter 29, verse 11 to 14, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. God desires to bring us back. He wanted to bring back the children of Israel to the promised land, to the land of promise, where their destiny was. And so for all of us, even when we do sin, we move away from the presence of God, God desires to move us back. He has great plans for all of us. Remember that your destiny was predestined. It was made from the beginning. Alex, your destiny was determined from the beginning. Sharon, God has a great plan from the beginning. And your destiny and purpose was prepared in advance through Jesus Christ, who is the image of the invisible God. Remember that Jesus is the one who comes to cut the curse, who comes to remove the curse that was there as a result of sinning in Genesis chapter 3. And so in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, it says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." It was from the beginning that God prepared us. Colossians 1:15 says, "For the Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him." So it is only Jesus from the beginning that the destiny that each one of you has, the destiny that I have, was created in Jesus Christ. And it's only through Jesus that we can receive that destiny. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 to 29 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." And so your destiny was predestined. An interesting story in Genesis chapter 32, from verse 22 to 32, gives us a clear picture of how God destined the destiny of Jacob. And even though Jacob himself, in a sense, tried to jeopardize by becoming or gaining whatever he needed to gain in an awkward, or rather in a lying way, he used various means to obtain the blessings that God had already initially. Remember that God had already predestined that he was going to be the ruler. He was going to be ahead of his brother, his twin brother. So let me just read that. Genesis 32, 22 to 32. "That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jacob. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, 'Let me go, for it is daybreak.' But Jacob replied, 'I will not let you go unless you bless me.' Jacob was so preoccupied about being blessed. But this man changes his mind and tells him in verse 27, the man asked him, 'What is your name? What is your identity?'" That's one of the things that we're going to talk about. What is your identity? What is your name? And Jacob answered. Then the man, he said, then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." What a change there is. Your name will no longer be Jacob. Your name will no longer be the supplanter. Your name will no longer be the deceiver. Your name will no longer be the liar, but your name will be Israel. He receives back his identity. The prophecy, the predetermined destiny that God had for him, it is given back to him. But how did he get it? He had to fight for it. He had to wrestle with God all through the night. After wearing masks most of his life, after trying to achieve the rest of his life, most of his life, he gained his birthright by crook ways. He gained and he found, he got his blessing from his father by lying, and he went to Laban, his uncle, and obtained wealth by lying. And Laban himself also just paid back by giving him 2 wives. But this is a man who has been trying to make it in life, trying to do all manner of things. Are you that kind of a person who puts on masks here and there? You have conformed to the childhood things. Remember, Jacob was wounded in his childhood. He was mama's baby. He was not a favorite of his dad, Isaac. Esau was the one who was a favorite. And many of us go through childhood wounds where we are rejected, where we are sidelined, and we try and put on masks. We try and put on things that will occupy the space that our fathers did not give us. This week was Father's Day. Last Sunday was Father's Day. We know the purpose of a father is important. A father gives a blessing. A father calls out a man from a boy. A father also calls out a woman out of a girl. And so many times we want that blessing. And Jacob was longing for that blessing, and he got it in conjunction with his mother in a wrong way. And so he had run away, and his brother Esau was angry, and he was joining him back. But before he got back to his promised land, to the destined land, he had to fight all through the night to get back his identity. And verse 31 says, verse 29, let me go back to verse 29. Please tell me your name. But he replied, why do you ask my name? Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel. It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of his hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. And so, what is it that you have been going through life, trying to achieve, trying to make way do so that you can receive a blessing? Remember, Jacob was trying to get a blessing, but what he needed was his identity. And so what we need is the courage like that of Jacob, courage to overcome life roadblocks from your destiny and identity. So what is courage? Last week we looked at courage and said it is the ability to face my fears and the lies behind my masks with actions, with actions that align to the truth of who God says I am. That is the issue of identity. The courage to face my fears and the lies behind my mask. And I'm going to be explaining all those words in a moment. With actions that align to the truth of who God says I am. What is identity? Identity is who you are. Identity is your name. It is your uniqueness, purpose, gifts, personality, your story, and identity, that which defines who you really are. Remember that identity in Psalm chapter 139, verse 13 to 16 says, for you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. David here talks about his identity, that God knew him, knew who he was from the beginning. Even before he was made, he knew him. And so identity is that you're unique because you are the only one. No one looks like me, even on this earth. My son has a resemblance of me, but he can never be like me. Even twins. I have twin sisters in my family, but they are identical. People always confuse them, but they are so unique from each other. And so no one looks like you. And so what are the masks and lies that are behind that we need courage to be able to overcome? When our core needs of affection, acceptance, and affirmation are not met by our fathers or father figures, we put on masks to cover our nakedness, our shame, our guilt, our feelings. That is what Adam and Eve did in Genesis chapter 3. They covered themselves with leaves because they were bare, they were naked. And many times, for all of us, we put on masks to cover our nakedness, to cover the things that we are ashamed of. We have a backpack that we have carried through our lives, that we always put in the things that we do not like people to see. Whether you were rejected, you put that in your backpack. Whether somebody hurt you when you're growing up, you put that in your backpack and you carry it all over with you. Many of us have huge backpacks, people that have hurt us, the unforgiveness that we have, the wounds that we have carried them in our backpacks. And to be able to hide that backpack, we put on a shadow, because that shadow is what we need. And so we are hiding the things that we need for ourselves. A shadow is something you deny, repress, or hide. This is a language we are just developing in order to help ourselves grow and overcome the issues, the fears in our lives. So a shadow is something you deny, repress, or hide. What are some of the shadows? The need for acceptance, love, sexual desires, weaknesses, struggles. And sometimes it may not be even a bad thing, but because it doesn't look good out there, we put it in shadow. We hide it. We repress it. We deny it, that it didn't happen to me. Maybe you were abused when you're growing up. You deny it because you're hurt. Maybe you're struggling with sexual desires, and I personally struggled for a long, long time. And it was mainly because of feeling rejected when I was young. I didn't feel accepted because I was born by a teenage mother and brought up by my grandmother. And so I didn't grow up with my parents. And so I kept hiding that because it was a shameful thing. And so I hid everything in that shadow, all right? And it is masks. We put on masks to cover the shadow. And so for me, it was a shadow of wanting to be loved, a shadow of wanting to be accepted. But I have taken on masks of acting, masks of singing, masks of being a good boy, a religious person. And so what are the masks you are using to cover your shadow? That is your core needs, your wants, your desires, your struggles, weaknesses that you do not want people to see. And these sometimes masks such as overconfidence, spirituality, religion, career becomes a mask for many of us. Money becomes a mask, drugs. You want to hide the pain in you. And so you use drugs. Beauty can be a mask. Strength can be a mask. Over-talking can be a mask. Jokes, creating jokes all over can be a mask. Your talents, you can use them as a mask, or you can use them to serve others. Masks come with the intention to cover for what you do not have. So what is it that you use to cover for what you lacked in your life or what you do not have? And behind those masks are usually lies that tell you certain voices. What are the negative voices that cause the barriers and roadblocks for you to get what you are destined for? Such kind of lies are: you are not good enough, you are not handsome, or you're not beautiful, you cannot make it in life, you are stupid, or you can't hack it, you do not belong, you are an idiot, you mess up every time. Those are just some of the lies that are behind the masks. And so you try and hide those particular masks. But brothers and sisters, you need the courage to overcome those barriers, because those are the ones, the masks, that are hindering you from getting the full life, the real life that God has intended for you. So let's look about courage, and we'll be ending shortly here. Courage to overcome the barriers of your life. You need courage to get your identity back. Just like Jacob, you need to fight for your identity. To receive the light, become a child of God, and live in the Spirit as children of God and not as slaves. John chapter 1, verse 9 to 13 says, the true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or a husband's will, but born of God. So you need to receive your identity back by receiving the light, Jesus Christ himself, and become a child of God. Your identity is in Jesus Christ himself. You cannot receive your identity. If you have a wrong identity, then that is the place of being born again, so that you can go back to your destined life, what God intended from the beginning. Romans chapter 8, verse 12 to 17 says, therefore, brothers and sisters, we have an obligation, but it is not to the flesh, to live according to it. For if you live according to the flesh, you will die. But if by the Spirit you put to death the misdeeds of the body, you will live. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you receive does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship. And by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are children of God. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in his suffering, in order that we may also share in his glory. And so, to fight back your identity, Jacob had to be renamed by God himself. You need to be renamed. The things that your mother told you, the things that your brothers told you that have formed the lies that are behind the masks that you portray, that you put on, you need to receive the light to bring them to light. Remember that the power of a secret is its secrecy. So allow Jesus to illuminate his light to the dark parts of your life. The second thing is to get the courage to know the truth, to know and believe the truth. Know the truth of who you are. That's your identity. John 8 verse 32 says, to the Jews who believed in him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. You need to know the truth. So get the courage to know and also believe. What does it say in believing? Romans chapter 10, verse 9 to 10. If you declare with your mouth, Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and you are justified, and it is with your mouth that you profess your faith and are saved. The courage to know and believe the truth. Thirdly, is the courage to be transformed. The courage to offer yourself to God, not conforming to the patterns of the world, but transforming by renewing of your mind. Your mask can get off when you get the courage, when you go out and ensure that you are being conformed. Romans 12, 1 and 2 says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. A courage to be transformed. It is not an easy thing. You have to go for it. You have to take responsibility for it, to be transformed. Things are not just gonna happen. You have to do it. The next one is courage to fight lies. The lies behind the masks. Fight to demolish strongholds, lies that are contrary to God's will. 2 Corinthians 10, verse 3 to 6 says, for though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. And we will be ready to punish every act of disobedience once your obedience is complete. The courage to fight life. You can't allow the lies of you cannot make it, you are not good enough, you are not beautiful to continue controlling your life. You have to demolish all those strongholds because it's a place where Satan likes to hide. A stronghold is a place of hiding. And so Satan comes into your life and hides in the lies that you have believed. Instead, you need to believe the truth of who God says you are. You need to find your identity in him. The last scripture is 1 Corinthians 16, 13 to 14, which says, be on your guard. This is a place of responsibility. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous. Be strong. Do everything in love. And so young people, young trailblazers, I know that God has destined a great plan for your life, but you have to stand. You have to be on your guard. Be careful on what you are hearing. Be careful on what you are looking at. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous. Be strong. And do everything in love. And the journey continues. Thank you so much for that. We're going to have an interactive session. And so we're going to have each one of us just share what are you hearing and what is it that you would, Dante, are you there?
All right. Thank you very much, Pastor Zeph, for leading us and guiding us through. I am joined by the amazing hype, Javril. And yes, like we just shared, you know, on a Poco comment segment, we are ending this live broadcast in a short while. And before we end, we just like to remind you that the show or the party or the hangout doesn't stop now. This continues because we would like to get more intimate with our coach. Amesema mambo, nikafikiria juu ya life yangu kidogo. Unajua, could I be wearing a mask? Najua mnaniangalia mnasema wewe umevaa mask yako kwa kichwa. Yes, maybe it's a mask, maybe it's not, but you could be wearing a mask. Now let's find out whether what you're going through could be a masking, you know, season in a more intimate setup with our coach on Zoom. So you can follow the link I've shared there. The meeting ID is there. If you need the password, just right there, you need the password to join and we will help you get connected. That won't last long, so you better rush, hurry, because the Zoom group is also full and late. I know people here have questions, so that is where we want to do. But if you're here and you are, you know, because we are ending the live stream, let us tell what to Facebook. Kwaheri, everybody, if you can, let's go. Kwaheri wa Facebook. Kwaheri sana. Peace, peace. This is where we end. This is where we leave you. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you now and forevermore. Amen. Watu wangu wa